Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and I got a big bag of pom-poms here. And if you watched my channel, or if you guys are keeping up, last year I did a small pom-pom bowl that turned out absolutely gorgeous. And I loved it so much, went on Amazon and bought a giant bag of these pom-poms. And we are doing this technique where I'm using a blank resin cube. Instead of putting the waste block on the very bottom, we're going to use that to raise it so we don't have to see that ugly pine board, because I have been trying to get better at woodworking, and that is a technique that I have not yet used. And I get a lot of comments from people saying, hey, why don't you get rid of that giant waste block? It kind of takes away from the aesthetic of the bowl, which I agree. So this is the first time I'm going to use this new technique of using a clear resin cubed to raise the waste block so that we won't have to see that pine board. So got all the pom-poms in there, using East Coast resin on this one, used my little technique that I thought would work, and this is what it looks like 4.5 hours later out of the pressure pot. So I had to glue everything down. I didn't want those pom-poms to come flying up or anything, and this is what it looks like after I took it out of the waste block, or took it out of the actual bowl itself. Had to end up cutting that bowl apart because it adhesed to the epoxy. So looking a little ugly, kind of concerned about the bottom of it, but it's nice and solid. This actually, from the time I made the blank to the time I actually got to it, was something like 3 weeks. So a lot of time had passed between then and when we started, but overall I'm excited. If you saw last week's project, it was a little simple, a little basic. So in today's project, we're going to do something a little bit more intricate, so I'm really excited to get this one started. So got everything centered up, just using the actual face plate, get that all screwed down nice and neat, going into the epoxy, not having to use a hot glue gun to put the waste block on. Everything was nice and flush once we took it out of the pressure pot. So got that onto the lathe. It's spinning real nice and neat, and here we go. So safety equipment is on, face shield is on, and now we're just taking off the superficial layer that we will typically do. And you can see already we're really getting a lot of good shavings off of it. Coming back with the bowl gouge and the smaller round carbide tool, just trying to work our way through the epoxy, trying to get everything nice, neat, and even before we flip it over onto the chuck. So once we got that kind of taken care of, basic technique that we usually will do, which is getting that layer off. Now we're rounding out the bottom, and you'll see a little bit later, you'll see the cool shavings and all the cool colors once we start to actually gouge out some of those pom-poms. And you can see right there we're getting really good shavings off of it. Anytime it sprays out like that into like one nice Spider-Man type of ribbon, you know that you're working with some good stuff. So once we did that, sorry about the camera angle here, you can see that small ribbon that's in front of the camera lens and it's kind of taking away from it. But like I said in last week's video, I hope one day I can mount like a gimbal or something to the ceiling to where it'll stay out of the way, because these ring lights, they're really good, however they do get in the way sometimes. So once we got that all taken care of, we got everything nice and even. Now we're just coming back, rounding out the bottom before we start the process of making the mortise. Just taking that round carbide tool, just making small, shallow little strokes with it. So now the moment of truth, where we're taking the actual bowl gouge. It's not the bowl gouge, but taking the parting tool, and we're just getting in there, trying to make a mortise, not too deep, not too wide, just snug enough to where the actual chuck will fit in there. So just really taking my time on this one, because this is the first time I'm using this new technique to where the waste block hopefully won't be shown. And spoiler alert, it actually does work. So really excited to show you guys at the end how well this technique worked. I could clean it up a little bit, but we'll get there. So once we got the mortise built, now we're just sizing up the chuck. Everything's nice, neat, and the way we want it. Now we're just taking the face plate off, using that high-speed Ryobi drill. Don't sleep on Ryobi, people. If you're new to woodworking, use tools that work, and Ryobi works. I don't care how many times people poo-poo on Ryobi. So anyway, now we are just basically taking off the superficial layer on the sides of it, getting everything nice, neat, and even. Coming back and just getting that superficial layer off the top of it. I like everything to be nice and even before we actually start the bowl gouging process. And there's my giant head in the way again, just like last week's video. Need to work on these camera angles a little bit better, but I'm no Steven Spielberg, obviously. So once we got that kind of all nice and even, now we can take the tailstock off, and then we can start the actual gouging portion of it. And it worked really well throughout the pine board. The pine board melted through, the chisel like butter. Now we're just taking a combination of the bowl gouge and the round carbide tool and just basically getting to the nice depth that we want. So I knew that small resin cube was on the bottom, so I knew once I had punched through and got done with the actual pine board, then I could start working on the sides a little bit better. But we're just slowly taking our time, working off the edge here, not trying to get too quick, because typically when I try to speed through these things, that's when I tend to run into a lot of problems. So this is just a little bit different angle. Sorry you really didn't get to get in there and see the actual cube itself, but I believe by this time I've actually hit the bottom of it, and now we're just working out the sides. And you can see on the wall there the cool different confetti type of colors that you're getting off the ribbons, which, I might do this project again a little bit later and just save some of those shavings and make a bowl. I've seen some other woodworkers do something similar to that, and I think that would be really cool to do in the future. So once we got that all done, now we're just doing, small layer at a time, not being too aggressive with the chisels like I've done in the past. If you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you know that I used to be really aggressive sometimes with the chisels, and it would kind of like blow up in my face a little bit. So here's, I believe, one of the later angles. We're almost done getting everything to the nice depth that we want, working on the lip of the bowl. So I did this one in late October. You guys are probably watching this in February or March of 2022. But this turned out really, really well. I really love doing this project. This one was one of my favorite ones. I ended up, and here, you didn't even get to see it. That was so quick. It's crazy how I'm the one doing the editing, and I'm even shocked at some of the camera work that I'm doing. But I posted this on Instagram back in October when I did finish it, and I got a lot of requests to make bowls like this for some other folks. So you're more than likely going to see a couple of more bowls like this in the future, probably. So here's all of the shavings. Once we got done, you can see all the cool confetti, different colors, but good consistency in the actual shavings itself, and it actually worked. So we ended up using that small little cube, and you don't see any wood in there, so the technique does work. So we're going to be doing that in the future, hopefully, to limit the amount of pine board that's in these beautiful blanks that kind of take away from it. But there it is right there, and now we're going to start the absolute fun process of sanding, because you guys know how much I love sanding. So got the workbench cleaned up a little bit. Now we're just working off 340 all the way to 1500 dry sanding, and then we're going to come back a little bit later, hit it with a micro mesh, and then do some wet sanding to really get that nice clean polish that typically is what you want in these bowls. And there's my shoulder, by the way. You can see a little bit of that. Had nothing to do with the actual blank itself. So here we are a little bit later, completing the wet sanding. Didn't have a lot of cool poppy colors in the actual pom-poms themselves. I might do like a neon one a little bit later, but overall this bowl turned out absolutely beautiful, absolutely the way I wanted it to be, and couldn't have been more happy with it. So here we are, just putting that wood wax on, polishing it up all nice and neat. You can see that blank on the bottom of it. Kind of sketched with the glue that we used, but overall really happy with this. I think it looks a lot better without the waste block, as you guys have been saying for a very, very long time. But overall really happy the way this turned out. I ended up finishing this around 4 o'clock in the morning, so you don't get a cool sunset, sun glistening through it. But overall really happy the way this turned out. We're just polishing it up, making it all nice and neat. But hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share it, like it, leave a comment. And if you guys want to see some pom-pom videos in the future, just let me know. And here it is, all nice, neat, and even. You can see the shakiness of the camera. Sorry about that. But overall, really happy with the aesthetic of it. Looks really, really good. Really happy with it. Can't say enough good things about this. So hopefully we do a lot more projects like this in the future. and hopefully I'm able to. So don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next project. All right, peace. Okay, so the project is done, and here we are. I told you that I would do something way bigger involving these little puffs, and I totally did. And it turned out absolutely beautiful. It is actually 2:30 in the morning, October 21st, 2021. You guys are probably gonna watch this in March 2022 sometime, or February, but we are getting better at this, absolutely. You can see the bottom, there's not that big waste block, so that putting of that little piece of epoxy on the bottom to save it absolutely works. So we're gonna start doing that in some other projects. Wish I could have done this in the sunlight so you could have seen the color of it, but it looks really freaking cool. I really like this, turned out really well. Even though I haven't been in the wood shop in about, weeks, months. It's been maybe a month since I've done a project. But overall, really happy the way this turned out. Definitely going to be using that technique in the future and absolutely love it. So there's the bottom of it, looks really good. I got this wood wax all over my hands, but totally worth it. So hope you liked it, hope you got something out of it. I might have some work stuff coming up, so hopefully this isn't the last bowl for a while, but I'll get into that more in the commentary. So I'll see you guys in the next project, hopefully sooner rather than later, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, don't forget to subscribe and like it and all that good stuff. All right, see you guys later. Peace.